Okay, the Last Supper. We've all seen it a million times, right? It's one of the most famous images in the world. But what if I told you that behind this super familiar scene, there's a hidden message, a kind of symbolic code that unlocks a story that is way deeper than what we see on the surface?
I mean, we know the basics. Jesus is in the middle, his disciples are there, you can feel the tension in the room. We know a betrayal is coming, we know what happens next. But that's really just scratching the surface of a much, much more complex story.
What if this whole thing wasn't just a meal? What if it was more like a carefully planned performance? A final symbolic lesson where every single gesture, every single word was a clue for his followers. And, well, for us.
And that's the core idea right there. Jesus was using an ancient sacred script, a ritual that everybody in that room knew by heart, to deliver a completely new message. He was literally hiding the biggest news in history in plain sight. So to crack this code, we have to get one thing straight. This was not just some ordinary dinner party. This was the ancient Jewish Passover Seder, a meal that has a very, very specific and deeply meaningful order.
Think of the Seder as the decoder ring for this whole event. I'm serious. Once you understand its structure, all of Jesus' actions suddenly click into place and make perfect sense.
And here's the key. The name of the meal itself, Seder, literally means order. This wasn't a casual get-together. Every single part of it, from the food they ate to the wine they drank, followed this strict symbolic script that had been passed down for generations.
And the whole meal was built around these 4 mandatory cups of wine. Each cup wasn't just a drink, it had a name, it marked a specific part of the ceremony, and it celebrated a different piece of Israel's journey to freedom. For the disciples sitting there, these foods were packed with meaning. It was their history on a plate. The lamb's blood that saved their ancestors, the flatbread because they fled in a hurry, the bitter herbs to remember the pain of slavery, this was their story.
Okay, so here's where the story takes this incredible turn. Jesus follows this ancient blueprint perfectly, and then, right at the most important moments, he completely flips the script. He takes these old, familiar symbols and gives them a brand new, earth-shattering meaning.
First, the bread. For thousands of years, it meant one thing, remembering the rush out of Egypt. But then Jesus holds it up and says, "Take, eat. This is my body." I mean, can you imagine? In one sentence, he redirects the entire focus of Jewish history, from the past to his own body, his own sacrifice. The sheer audacity is just astounding.
And then he does it again with the third cup, the cup of redemption. Everyone knew what it meant, redemption from slavery in Egypt. But Jesus redefines it. He says this cup represents my blood of the new covenant, a totally new agreement between God and people, sealed not with the blood of an animal, but with his own.
And this wasn't some random phrase he pulled out of thin air. The new covenant comes straight from the prophet Jeremiah. For everyone at that table, hearing this would have been an absolute shock to the system. He was connecting his own actions to this ancient, powerful prophecy they had all been waiting for.
But believe it or not, the most stunning twist was still to come. Because after redefining the bread in the third cup, Jesus does something that nobody would have ever expected. He just stops. He leaves the Passover meal unfinished.
Now, to understand why leaving the meal unfinished is such a huge deal, we need to know what those 4 cups really stood for. They weren't just random. They corresponded to 4 specific I will promises that God made to Israel way back in the book of Exodus.
And look at the progression. It's so powerful. I will bring you out. I will deliver you. I will redeem you. And then the final, ultimate promise. I will take you to be my people. This 4th promise, tied to that 4th cup, was the grand finale, the consummation of everything.
And then Jesus says this, right before they get to that final climactic cup, the cup of consummation, he announces he's not going to drink it. He basically hits the pause button on the entire ceremony, leaving that final promise hanging in the air. You can only imagine the total confusion in that room. So what's going on? Well, the theory is that Jesus didn't just skip the 4th cup. He redefined it in the most dramatic way possible. He left that room to go to the cross. His death was the true Passover sacrifice. His suffering was the consummation. That 4th cup, it wouldn't be drunk until the kingdom of God had truly arrived.
And this brings us to the ultimate point of it all. See, beyond all the amazing symbolism of the meal, Jesus was actually modeling a whole new way to live for his followers, a life lived with incredible intention and purpose.
This one line right here, it unlocks everything. Everything Jesus was doing, from orchestrating the Passover meal to everything that came after, it was all a deliberate fulfillment of the Scriptures. He was teaching his friends to see his life and even their own lives through the lens of God's story.
So the real invitation from the Last Supper, it goes way beyond just remembering an event. It's a call to us, right now, to live a life that is so soaked in God's story that our own actions become a part of it. It's about not just reading the words, but becoming the words, to live as it is written. The evangelist D.L. Moody, he just captured this idea perfectly. It's such a powerful challenge, isn't it? To aim to be that person through whom God's story is being lived out in the world today. It's about so much more than just what you believe. It's about what you embody.
And that's really the question this whole thing leaves us with. It takes it from ancient history and drops it right into our laps. Beyond just knowing the story, what would it actually look like for you to live a life as it is written? It's a huge question, but one that is definitely worth asking.